What is going on, everybody? Grayson here, Gundam Gambler. Today, we're going to be talking about Newtype Challenge winner cards. And before we get into that, just a couple things. First off, GDO 5, Freedom Ascension. The booster boxes are now down to $180 on TCG Player. And I don't think anyone should be surprised by this. I've had a few people, especially on my first video about GDO 5, say, $250, $260 a box. That's insane. Like, who would pay that, guys? TCG Player pre-order price is essentially irrelevant, in my opinion. Only select stores can put their boxes up for pre-order, on TCG Player. So that price is always going to be insanely inflated. If you look at any other store, for example, in Canada, Hobbiesville, they're probably one of the more expensive stores, trying to sell it around $200 USD, maybe a little bit less than that. But a lot of stores were selling 150, 160 USD, in that range, maybe even a little bit cheaper. HPW, they were around 230 Canadian. So it was never a $250, $260 booster box. I think a lot of people are going to be getting this 150, 160. And I think that's a fair price to be paying when you consider how much value is more than likely going to be in the top 1, 5, 10 cards in this set. It is going to be incredibly stacked. A lot of SPs, a lot of alt arts, and of course, the 5 LR++. So $180, I think that's more reasonable. And I wouldn't be shocked if at release or after release, this price continues to come down on TCG Player, but I still think it's a decent long-term hold. Now, decent, guys, I'm joking there. It's going to be a pretty good set. Now, the other thing I want to get to real quick, this dude on YouTube, who I've never heard of before, he's got like 5K subs, and he made a video talking about Gundam Investor Bros. Someone linked it to me because apparently my thumbnail shows up here in the video. I guess you guys can see it right there, that massive potential one. And, I don't hate people for voicing their opinions, but when people make content like this, I do think it's silly because I don't really think they have a ton of strong points. And I also think it's very odd that people who claim to love the game are actively hating and hostile towards people who are ensuring the game is going to continue being around. Bandai, and I don't know if a lot of people know this, right? They make money from people opening their booster boxes. I know, it's shocking, right? You players trading your cards on the secondary market, Bandai makes zero money from that, okay? So what Bandai wants to see is people buying their shit. When investors are coming in, they are buying their shit, including sealed product, right? So by people buying stuff like GDO 5, of course, it's going to make the boxes more expensive. There's more demand for it, right? Like, it's simple supply and demand, but at the same time, if people keep buying sets, GDO 5, GDO 6, GDO 7, and by the way, I opened some GDO 4 last night, and I love it. I think the cards are great. I've seen SPs in person now. I've seen alt arts in person. I think just the regular LRs and rares are also amazing. They're on par, if not better, than One Piece cards, in my opinion, in terms of quality and just, the texture on them and stuff. So I totally understand the appeal. I think that in the future, they're going to continue doing things that trend towards collectability. And the other thing too, I just want to quickly touch on before we get to the Newtype challenge cards. If you read the comments, right, a lot of these people are incredibly hostile, calling you tourists, which is like the anime equivalent of insulting someone. It's a very weird insult. Scalpers spoil everything they touch. You have people down here telling them, you need to F off. Guys, I've worked with a ton of people who over the years have started out as investors, and then they've started playing the game because they just became so enthralled with the idea of the IP, of the TCG, right? So when the actual community, who presumably wants the community to grow, right, because they love the game so much, if they're actively hostile towards investors, you're not going to drive out investors, especially if they're making money. All you're doing is making them double down and move further away from your point of view on what you'd actually like them to be doing. So, every other TCG, collectors, investors, players, they all coexist. But when it's a new game, people, for whatever reason, they feel defensive, they get upset, they get malicious, and it's just not beneficial, right, for either side. So I wanted to share my take on that. But starting off, Newtype Challenge winner cards. There were 3 missions in 2025. There's going to be 4 missions this year. And a mission really just is a period of time while the tournament is running. And we're going to go in order from the first mission of 2025 to the third mission of 2026, mission 4, I believe, starting in a month or two. And these Newtype challenge winner cards are obviously given out to the winner. It's very difficult to tell how many of these are actually in existence. If you ask Google, they're probably going to tell you somewhere between dozens to maybe low hundreds, which I think makes sense, right? You're giving one out to a winner at a tournament of 32 people. Like, there's not going to be thousands of these. And a lot of these cards already have insane value. So the Gundam aerial rebuild being the first one, being a fairly popular form of the Gundams, right? Like, this is now $1,000 card. That sale was on July 14th, so a couple days ago. July 11th, $900. July 9th, $820, a sale there. If we go back to March, this was like a $550 card. So you're already basically doubling your money on something like this. And this isn't even the most insane growth we've seen on one of these winner cards. Now, after that, we have Zeta Gundam. This is the Mission 2 from 2025, a little bit cheaper of a card, currently about $520. Recent sales, one actually today, $655, a sale on the 13th at $700. I guess a sale here at $880. So it's really not that far back of the Gundam aerial rebuild. And then the third one, Mission 3 of 2025. Someone let me know how you pronounce this. Cubeli, something like that. I'm sure someone's going to correct me if I'm wrong. By the way, I appreciate you guys for teaching me how to actually pronounce things. It's going to take a while, but we'll get there. $460. Recent sales, $750 from July 7th. The sale before that was June 11th, so about a month earlier at $500, right? So we're going to have to see where the next couple sales are to get an idea of where this one is ultimately going to land. But I really like these cards. I think the borders on them are great. It kind of reminds me of the SPs, at least from GDO4. They kind of have like this silver texturing on them. I think they're great, beautiful looking cards as well. And yeah, like the fact that they're scarce, the fact that you can have very popular characters, this one here, Freedom Gundam, this is probably one of the most popular Gundams. And this was the winner card, Mission 1 of 2026. This has probably had the best growth. I think we've covered this on the channel already. If we go back to March of this year, this was a $700 card, maybe even less. We now have recent sales over $2,800. So you 4x your money in a matter of months. There was actually a sale on eBay, $3,000 as well. So I think these cards are going to continue running. And if Gundam and the TCG and the collectability side continues to grow, these could be $5, $10, $15, $20,000 cards. It would not take that much if a few people came in, wanted to speculate on these, buy up all the raw cards and send them off for grading. We could really live in that world. Getting into Mission 2 of 2026, Gundam Dynames. This is going for around like $500. Recent sales may be pushing a little bit higher than this. This was from yesterday, $550. So we'll see where this one ultimately ends up going. I understand that there's more popular Gundams, and you could choose those ones with great utility, I think. But even these cheaper ones that are $500, $600, I think you're getting in at a fairly reasonable level. The demand for these cards right now is really just coming from the collecting base of the hobby. I highly doubt people are actually using these in their decks. And let's be honest, if you're a fan of Gundam, this is part of the history. This is part of the TCG. There's only going to be 3 or 4 of these given out every single year. I'm sure there's going to be some people who want to try and have a master set, a sequential PSA 10 set of these. I actually thought about doing that, but it's insanely difficult to even find them. I've put up ads on Facebook, and I've been willing to pay 90 to 100% of market, right? And you barely get anyone even reaching out saying that they have these. So incredibly difficult to find. Only a couple listed on eBay for certain ones. Gundam Barbatos Lupus. This is Mission 3 of this year, which just ended. Hasn't been out that long. It's going for around $800, I believe. We had a $900 sale July 7th. This was actually the one I was considering buying. Barbatos is a fairly popular Gundam, so I think this card could do quite well in the future. But all of them, honestly, I don't think you could go wrong with the aerial rebuild just because this was the first one actually given out as the winner card. I think another thing that you could also look at is some of the top 4 cards as well. Kira Yamato, this is from Mission 1 of this year, so it was handed out with the Freedom Gundam, right? If you were top 4 though, not just the winner, top 4 is going to get this Kira. And I think some of these cards could do very well. Soleta Mercury as well. This is going for around $230. Recent sale at $300 from July 14th, just a couple days ago. So even some of these top 4 cards are already starting to move up in price. But you guys let me know in the comment section down below what you think. Do you currently own any of these? Are you looking to pick some of these up? I would definitely recommend, if you can find gradable copies, just buy the ungraded copy. I think some slabs right now have very high premiums when they shouldn't. I understand the PSA backlog is going on. It's going to be difficult to grade, but something like this, you could probably buy it, just send it off to Beckett or PSA with a very fast turnaround time, and it's probably going to be cheaper doing that than just buying the graded slab already. So with all that said, thank you guys so much for watching. Probably no video tomorrow. Maybe try and get one out on Saturday or Sunday. With all that said, thank you so much for watching. Stay safe wherever you are in the world. I'll catch you in the next one.